It's Chuck Marlowe from ringside, and I welcome you to another hour of championship wrestling. These matches are under the sanction and supervision of the State Athletic Commission. Your referee is signed by the commission tonight. In this first match, John Shorn. We are all set to get things underway, so let's get up to ringside and make the necessary introductions. First of all, from Chicago, Illinois, in the near corner, having a little word with his opponent outside the ring, is Johnny Kace. Johnny Kace from Chicago. His opponent entering the ring now from Albuquerque, New Mexico, with his manager, pretty boy Bobby Heenan. Ladies and gentlemen, Blackjack Lanza. Lanza. I gave you the proper introduction. Blackjack Lanza. Lanza with a few extraneous comments, as always, approaches us here at ringside, and we're just about set to get things underway. One fall match, Lanza versus Kace, and of course Heenan in and out of the ropes, and you can pretty well expect him to at least have words to say in the corner as he advises his man. Awfully nice to have you with us tonight. We hope you make it a point to join us each week. Championship Wrestling always the most exciting, and we hope that you find it entertaining each week. Lanza comes over again for a word or two, and there are many who feel that maybe Heenan does this just to annoy Lanza's opponent. This has happened in the past. They meet on the ropes, roll to the corner, and Shorn will make them break. Blackjack Lanza at about 265, Kace around 240, 238, 240. Forearm, it's countered by Kace as he moves back to the center, and again Heenan gets up off the bench with words to the referee. A drag and a counter, a reversal now by Lanza. Kace rolls under, but Lanza comes up on top with a hammerlock. Lanza now grasping at the trunks, goes back to the arm. Johnny Kace from Chicago. Not what you'd call an old-timer in the business, but he's a man who has a great deal of experience. In his middle to late 30s, and an exceptionally active wrestler, has been for quite some time. He's underneath on this hold, of course, as Lanza enforces. Lanza from Albuquerque. You know, your place is to be over on the other side of the ring. I didn't invite you over.
Stay on him, stay on him.
And as a matter of fact, I would imagine that most
every maneuver he does
is illegal.
We have talked over.
Sure you have.
Everything we've talked over.
I suppose you say getting next to the ropes and choking, right?
When he gets in there, he knows what he's going to do, that man. We map out every man that we're against.
I would believe that. I would believe that. You get him into the ropes, you say choking. You get him with the back of the referee,
let me
you
tell
say
you
get the knee in the throat, right?
Remember this. People don't ask you how you win. They ask you if you win. Remember that. They never ask you how you win. It's if you win. You don't make any money being a nice guy. Nice guys finish last. Hey, ref, watch this spin. You see a completely illegal maneuver. Look at that.
Good counter by Kace as he beals Lanza over to a neutral corner.
Keep him back, keep him back.
And again, Heenan gets up as he recognizes now that Lanza's under the rope, absorbing the same punishment he was dishing out just moments ago.
Let's go, fire. Get up, fire, man. Sit down. Let's go, fire, man. Sit down. You see nothing?
It's about time.
Come here. Keep him off him, man.
Lanza under the ropes again as Kace enforces, and Lanza counters by pulling the trunks, and will have to get them out of the neutral corner.
Drape him over here. Drape him over here. 2, 3, 4.
Lanza back with a few words from the referee now as Kace gets in circles to the right. Would you please go over and sit in your own place? There's a dive. A single leg lock and a press, but only for the count of 2. A semi-cradle now.
Let me tell you something about this. Every man that wrestles us is an underdog. That's why the people and the ref are always for the underdog.
What do you say about this hold that Kace is employing on Lanza?
Stick around. Watch. I've got faith in this man. Watch. We haven't come to the top without a little faith. You watch.
Lanza tries to counter with the chin lock. At the moment, to no avail. He is not, and you just be quiet. He's not using the trunks at all.
He didn't, though, ref. He had the man's trunks.
Now Lanza goes to the throat to get the break, and
Faith,
we
like
will
I
have to.
told you.
Sure, faith. About as illegal as you can get it. Lanza again with forearms, and now Shorn has to move in between. The referee is caught in the action.
Lanza's mad now.
Well, he's gone back to his corner, and look at this. Look at this. Uncalled for. Kace again entwined in the ropes. And Heenan takes a boot in under the heart as Kace counters, gets back to his feet in circles. A counter and a gouge at the eyes by Lanza. Blackjack Lanza, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Johnny Kace on his knees, Chicago, Illinois. We're about 6.5 minutes, about 7 minutes in this one-fall match. Lanza goes to the buckle. Now goes for the rope. And you see who's helping untie it. None other than our great pretty boy, Bobby Heenan. Kace again head first into that top buckle. And again, that is legal, as is that counter. There's an open hand to the head by Kace. And again, with the legal attack into the buckle, Johnny Kace with his own form of counters. Lanza goes through the rope, and Kace is going to bring him back in. 1, 2, and 2 only, as Lanza almost finds himself down for the count of 3. There's a drag across the eye. Lanza again with ruthless and uncalled for counters. And a well-disguised chokehold. But the referee, one of the most competent in the business, recognizes the choke and orders for the break. Again, Lanza goes to the throat with a forearm, a boot to the midsection, up into the solar plexus, and he really planted the toes. Side headlock now by Lanza. To the rope, and he has the tag rope around the throat, and again Shorn sees it. Now Heenan is employing the rope around the neck. And Shorn's getting fired up. And a quick count this time from Shorn, and we may have a disqualification if we don't watch out. I at one time saw a very controversial call. It pleased the fans, and it certainly pleased the wrestler who was underneath, but a referee counted silently to himself, as they do in collegiate and high school wrestling, and then called the count of 4 and 5 out loud, and it was too late. Shorn has not done this, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised if this keeps up that he might make that attempt. Here's a good counter by Kace. Abil, as Lanza finds himself again in the neutral corner, a front face drag and a figure 4 puts Lanza within inches of having both shoulders to the mat. Well, if you're joining us for this first match, it's a good one. Blackjack Lanza, Albuquerque, New Mexico versus Johnny Kace of Chicago, Illinois. A one-fall match. And it's been good from that first bell. Now Lanza biting the leg or something, biting the thigh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's perfection, right? Sure. Lanza with a go behind, a counter by Kace and a reversal by Lanza. A short arm drag as Lanza gets into the ropes. And Kace puts the boot in. Now a little bit of conversation between Heenan and Lanza as they continue to map their strategy. Top wrist lock. Kace enforcing. Johnny Kace with the hold. And Heenan claiming that he's using the fingers, and Heenan can see no better than anyone else around here, and I assure you Johnny Kace is on the wrist. A handful of hair puts Kace to the mat. And now Lanza again has gone back to the face and to the chin, biting, as Heenan says, worked back into the ropes. Kace takes him over. It lands hard. That was not the bell. The bell did ring with that vicious drop by Johnny Kace. Another hard drop in the center of the ring as both men go down. Oh, and Kace misses. Kace misses as Lanza grabbed the rope and held on. Johnny Kace took a vicious blow to his spine. Lanza has him up and Kace into that buckle, and he has definitely been slowed down considerably. There's an open fist under the chin that was open. A boot up into the stomach 3 times, 4, 5. Into the buckle again, and again this ring shakes literally down to the bell. Look out. Body slam. Here's the bulldog, and it puts Kace out as Lanza goes to the cover and gets the pinfall. 13 minutes, 15 seconds. 13-15, and the hand of Blackjack Lanza raised in victory as Bobby Heenan moves over to accept the boos, of course, from the fans here at ringside. Championship Wrestling continues on television. Let's take time out just for a moment, though. We'll be back with more right after this message.
All right, now I want to talk to you briefly about the May 24th card in Hammond, Indiana, and also at the same time talk to you about this upcoming card, June 21st at the International Amphitheater here in Chicago. I don't have a complete card to announce to you. I can say that the Chain Gang has been signed. Bob Luce is looking for a suitable opponent, tag team, to meet them. And Carpentier is signed on this card. Those are the only 2 names that I have verified. But that's Saturday, June 21st at 8:30 at the International Amphitheater. And I do suggest that you make your plans now and make them quite affirmatively to attend this card. That's on the 21st. Let's talk now about the 24th just for a second. In Hammond, Indiana, May 24th, Snyder and Martinez versus Comrade Nick and Comrade Boris. We have Mitsu Arakawa against Poffo, Angelo Poffo. Prince Pullins versus Tokyo Joe. You should like that match. That should be a good one. And Sandy Acosta meets Dirty Don. That's the preliminary match at 8:30, May 24th, next Saturday night. And Hammond Civic Center again hosts another fine one. All right? More about all these a little bit later on. Right now I want to have a couple of words with a very good friend of mine, the man who makes all of these cards possible. He's the promoter and general manager of the Chicago Wrestling Club here in Chicago. He also promotes and makes match all over the Midwest and is very instrumental in having most of these wrestlers arrive at contracts in other areas under other promoters. And I'm speaking of our very good friend Bob Luce. Nice to have you back again. And, gee, I don't know what to talk to you about. We talked about the Hammond
Well,
guy
I know.
last time.
Well, let me say this now. Incidentally, since we talked about Mr. Clean, I've been talking to a couple of prominent weightlifting people, and they explained to me that that bench curl is the that he does is the most difficult.
Curl.
Right, is the most difficult thing to do of all the arm.
Well, you know
exercises.
why?
Right. Well, because you got to do it with your arm, and you
That's
can't.
right, and nothing else.
You can't give
You
it
can't
that
get
old
the swing. Right.
I just wanted the fans out there to know this because I've had some letters from people saying, is it really that tough? And I just want you to know that just try it.
You can see how
Put
impressed
something on
he-
your bench and try,
Right.
try to do that. That's all I ask you, fans.
Yeah.
Now, about this Hammond card, Chuck.
Saturday.
Yes. As you know, Comrade Borislav and Comrade Nikolai are former champions. They now say that they're the international tag team champions, which does not include the world title, of course, but because they are Russians and because they have defeated all opposition, so they tell me, they say now that if they beat Snyder and Louis Martinez, Martinez being the Mexican heavyweight champion, Snyder a former world champion, a former U.S. champion, that they will then claim the world title.
What do you say?
Well, I say this, that I want the fans out there to buy their tickets early. That's what I say, because I predict we're going to have one tremendous card in Hammond with this main event. And let me tell you again, fans, where to get the tickets. C&C Bail Bonds in Hammond at 6011 Calumet Avenue. Go in and see Sam Miller or his good friend, Sam's good friend, I have his name right here. I have to write this down. Pete Kennelly. Pete's got a young boy that's 12 years old, and he's a real fan. And I don't know Pete as well as I know Sam. I've known Sam for now 3 years. The 3 years we've been in Hammond, and I found him to be a wonderful guy and a good man. And just tell Sam that Bob Luce told you to come in and buy the ticket. 6011 Calumet Avenue. And one other thing about the amphitheater, the next show at the amphitheater. I'm going to have the Chain Gang there, fans, and I've got a big surprise for you. I've contacted Snyder and Gagne. I've contacted Dick the Bruiser and Mr. Clean. I've contacted Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher, because you see, Bruiser goes both ways, you see.
Right.
But I have a feeling about this Mr. Clean. I want to tell you, I have a feeling about this man. I don't know. I'm saying right here on television that this, I have a feeling about this man, especially when you come to a guy like the Dillingers, who need to be wiped from the face of the earth, of course, and to get clean in there with the dirt, like they keep making the jibe on TV. They're always calling him Mr. Dirt. Well, I think Mr. Dirt, Mr. Clean, would love to get in and clean him up, wipe him clean, so to speak.
That's great.
And Dick the Bruiser, of course, fans, if you'll notice, his muscle has been torn, went up into his arm because he got clipped in a game in Green Bay. But let me tell you, the other guy got a broken leg out of it, so that's not so bad. But Dick the Bruiser and Mr. Clean, with those forearms going for him against guys like the Chain Gang, I can't see nothing but El Squasho all the way.
Two of the biggest men, certainly power-wise, in that ring.
I think they'll be popping their heads all night, fans. You know, can't you just see that, you know?
You're great.
Really. I have a feeling about that man, Mr. Clean. But I'll see you in Hammond this Saturday night, fans.
Right.
And this is
21st
the big one.
now we look forward to.
This is the international tag team elimination bout of all time.
All right, good. Bob, thank you very, very much. Great guy. And a great card, too, for you fans in Hammond. Of course, all of you at the International Amphitheater the last time was May 17th. You remember what a whale of a card you had up there. And so this card on the 21st at International Amphitheater could very well be as outstanding. Now, listen, don't play down this Mr. Clean, Dick the Bruiser thing mentally, because when you put two of the most powerful men in the ring together on the same team, there can be nothing but trouble brewing for the opposite team. All right? Now, I want to take just an opportunity here, if I can, to sort of, as a commentator, as a sports commentator in wrestling, to analyze the wrestling fan here in the Chicago, Hammond, northern Indiana, South Milwaukee area. I think you have done what so many areas around the nation would like to do, and that is really put together a nucleus of a great, excited fan, a fan who is as loyal to wrestling as Italians are to spaghetti and meatballs and lasagna, I think that you have really set together the success story of wrestling right here in the Chicago area, because the word is getting around all over the nation that Chicago has become the world's great wrestling mecca. It always has been the home of championship wrestling, but it proves it even farther now at the box office. We'll talk more later. More wrestling follows in a moment.
Right and to the left of your screen, from Havana, Cuba, weighing 225 pounds, Batman Jose Quintero. His opponent, a phenomenon in the wrestling world, having won the World Heavyweight Wrestling title at 5 different times, weighing 230 pounds, from Phoenix, Arizona, the great Lou Thesz. Let's go to ringside. Well, I can't tell you I'm like a little kid with a new toy or something. That's a very trite interpretation, an inadequate expression of my feeling and admiration for Lou Thesz. This man is a legend in the wrestling world. He was tutored by the great Ed Strangler Lewis. Strangler found him at the age of 18 and tutored him all the way up to the championship, to 5 different championships. This man has just really one of the most fantastic sports backgrounds that any athlete could ever hope to have, to his credit. And what a tremendous champion he was. On the comeback trail, attempting to get that belt back again. Jose Quintero taken down very quickly. And the speed and agility of the great Lou Thesz is something to behold. I met Lou several years ago, did a radio show with him, he was interviewed on my radio show. And Ed Strangler Lewis was along with him at that time. And talk about Ed Strangler Lewis, this Lewis was just something to behold, too. They had a great feud going between Ed Strangler Lewis and the great Jim Lanza, one of the great Greek wrestlers of all time. And Lewis beat Lanza about 20 times, I guess. There's an elbow for the Cuban. And Thesz has picked up all the tricks that the Strangler taught him. Thesz filled the Los Angeles Coliseum week after week after week, and fills the arenas wherever he goes today. And the Cuban let him have one in the stomach, didn't even faze Lou. He wrapped the bad man alongside the chops, along that beard. Goes for the bear hug. Thesz, a terrifically strong man. Hammerlock maintained by Quintero. A hair takedown and by the Cuban. And you know something, whether I'm sure that the Cuban, even though he is going to give it his all, attempting to win this bout, that he must hold some admiration or at least respect for the wrestling ability of Lou Thesz. Look at the speed of Thesz. And he's got the bad man in a bad man's position. I've noticed that Thesz uses that elbow in that fashion. See, that puts the elbow up against his opponent's head and then uses his own right hand to wrap his left hand and transmitting the force of that blow down through the elbow. And it is legal. Body hug, bear hug by the bad man from Cuba. On the ropes, gouges away at Thesz. Thesz goes with a side headlock. Lets him have one of the chops. Another side headlock. And, thrown off. It overwhelms the Cuban. 2, 3, and that took care of Badman Jose Quintero. The great Lou Thesz, adding another victory to his mile-long list of victories in the wrestling game.
Okay, all set. Next match, and again, one fall, 15-minute time limit. You see in the near corner from Outer Mongolia, half this match. He weighs in 244, and I'm speaking specifically of the bare-caped, or whatever that may be, the Mongol, ladies and gentlemen. Outer Mongolia, the Mongol. His opponent from Chicago, Illinois, and very fair complexioned against this fella. He weighs in tonight at 239. Phil Christie. One fall, 15. The nonchalant tactics of this individual, Bob.
I've had a lot of letters on this Mongol from the first card we had him on in Chicago a few weeks ago, not too long ago, and the people asking, who is he? Well, I want to say that he is the original, the Mongol. There have been imitations, like a young fella called up and said, is he the Stomper? Well, the Stomper looks like him, but it's not the Stomper. This is the Mongol. This is the one, the original that was brought from Mongolia, the champion wrestler in Mongolia. He wasn't too civilized when he came here in '61, but as we remarked on the last show, or a recent show where he appeared, he has become rather civilized, but he is just as rough and tenacious as always. But he is the Mongol. That's the Mongol, the original. I just wanted to put that in here because I have had a number of calls on this.
The first time I saw him, I think, was in late '61 in a match in Indianapolis at the Coliseum. And I understand at that time he was making what was referred to as token appearances across the nation. Evidently, the syndicate or whatever it was that brought him in was hitting him into Boston, into the Garden, Detroit's Olympia, and Chicago, back when Fred Kohler was operating.
That's true.
St. Louis. And he was just making spot appearances.
True.
Now he has seemed, although he does travel across the nation continually and out of the country, he just recently returned from the Far East, he has settled in an area instead of just sort of being a one-nighter.
We're fortunate to have signed him to a contract to appear in matches in Indianapolis and Chicago and Elkhart and Fort Wayne and some of your major eastern cities. Through our auspices, he will appear there. But let me say that he is a top-notch talent. He is one of the great wrestlers, the Asian wrestler, one of the great Asian wrestlers, and we're happy to have him. Except, of course, he is rather rugged at times, but we're happy to have him in our entourage, our stable, or whatever you might say. In other words, under contract to appear, because he is top-notch in Mongolia.
You know, at the risk of being called by some people at home as a supplanted favorite of this man, I would like to say, though, that this man's ruthlessness and his brutal method in the ring does not employ an exorbitant amount of borderline tactics, Bob. He is just rough.
Yeah,
he
right.
keeps his man
That's true.
down within the rules.
That's true. Well, I've watched him wrestle on the plains.
Look at this. I mean,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with that.
I've watched him in his tribe when we were negotiating to bring him here. He would put on exhibitions in his tribe in Mongolia, in the outer Mongolian part, and these plainsmen, they are very rugged, and they would wear the bearskin and the tongs around which they would grab, and it really was a rugged match right there in the dirt.
Did his style have to be changed? Did they wrestle the same style or type of? I mean, for instance, the chops, the open hand chops, and
really, you'd be
beals and
surprised.
things like that.
Well, the beals are not exactly the same type, but
Of
they
course, I
are
guess a
beal.
beel is called something else.
They do the body slam. They pick them up and slam them, just like we slam them. They do the same type of a veal with a little variation.
Yeah.
But one thing that this thing that he's doing now, this headlock, this moving him around and getting him in position, this is the common denominator, and the stooping over, that kind of thing. And can you imagine this in the hot, in the real sand, dirt, sandy, and they go for hours. And this was the champion. This was the champion of that region, and let me tell you, The day I was there, he beat a 7-foot giant. You wouldn't believe this
They've
fella.
got those over there, too.
Oh, 7 foot, and came right off the plains. And, brother, he looked like he was going to eat about 3 of him. But this fellow is tremendous. He got a lot of power and a lot of ability, and his father before him was a wrestler. His father's father before him.
Well, Christie making a good effort.
I was sort of surprised at that move, because Christie really surprised me that he moved the Mongol like that.
I think the Mongol's sort of playing with it.
I really believe that. I really believe that. This Mongol is what a powerhouse. I wish the people could see
I'm not
this.
taking the thing away from Christie. I just think we had a match like this about a week or so ago when Mitsu Arakawa just sort of toyed a little bit.
Right, I
and
recall that.
felt his opponent out. You notice a Mongol style, he very seldom bends the knee in a move. Now, he is now, of course, but I mean, when he's making a move in a hip lock or something like that, he's straight up over. He takes the man straight over his back.
And that's how he beats his man. Look at this. This is just a down-to-earth type of move in wrestling, Chuck. That hammer lock, that side face lock, a combination of a hammer lock and a face lock, side face.
Sleeper?
Not really, but just pure brute strength.
Hey, there's the bell. Referee has determined that
That's how those tribesmen beat each other. That's their finish.
this match, Christie can no longer defend himself or can no longer compete, and the Mongol finally does release the hold, but now without a little insult. Let's check the time. 6 minutes, 31 seconds, 6:31. So this one feller goes to the Mongol, and now he is entitled to a moment or two of arrogant strut around the ring.
That's a Mongolian victory cry.
I wouldn't doubt it, yeah. Something like that. Well, as he leaves the ring, we will leave for a moment, but we'll be back. I beg your pardon.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bruiser.
We'll be back. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, with more wrestling in just a moment. Don't go back. In the ring for a special 2 out of 3 fall curfew time limit match is Half. The next match in the ring, it is an Australian tag team encounter. And I think you can determine by the cheers at ringside, we have a very, very popular team making an appearance. Introducing far corner from Chicago, Illinois, and Omaha, Nebraska, at a combined tag weight of 492, newcomer Johnny Diamond in the black and red tights, and veteran Jim Eskew. Opponents, need more be said, from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Reno, Nevada, now out of Indianapolis, Indiana, at a combined tag weight of 519 pounds. 519. The team, the cousin wrestling team, the Crusher and the Bruiser. This is going to be interest A1. Bruiser and Crusher, what do you have to say? Identical builds, identical minds. They both think the same way. Annihilation. The bell, here we go. And Bruiser immediately, with Crusher countering from outside. Johnny Diamond underneath all this. And Johnny, who weighs about 261 or so, a little bit heavier than Bruiser in the ring, does not carry his weight as well. And it's going to be interesting to watch this weight move around. Bruiser again viciously lashing that fist right to the top of the forehead.
Doesn't that remind you of an animal?
Which one?
Bruiser.
Oh, bet me. And Crusher. They don't, I just finished saying, Bob, they both think alike. Annihilation.
Right, that's just reminding me of an animal here. You see him looking down this way, he scares me half to death when I watch him, I can just visualize
he scares me, and I know there are ropes between us.
Yeah, you never know about him, though. He might jump down and tear your head off, which he's done on numerous occasions with you, hasn't he, Chuck?
Well, he's come at me, but I'll admit, I mean, when Bruiser or anybody like that's around, I'll turn. I think you will too.
Oh, hey, in a minute, because you see, the people don't understand. When they start wrestling, they turn themselves on so much. They believe me, they aren't themselves anymore.
Of course, I told you about the time Bruiser hit me in the dressing room.
That's what I was remembering, and I think he was in that state. They put themselves in not a hypnotic trance, but they are in a state of real competitiveness. What would you say?
Well, they're completely
combat.
absorbed. Yeah,
that's right. They're in a
mentally
state
absorbed in this whole
right.
thing.
That's all they think is contact.
Hey, look,
contact,
we got an
combat.
energetic Eskew in here, huh? And Bruiser right away. Well, we can't say the same thing about Bruiser we said about the Mongol, because he just.
I think Mongol. I think he could probably take that tribal. I think he could probably three or four tribesmen together.
I think he could too, but whatever the Mongol would do, the Bruiser does 10 times. Look at this. The knee.
He's got tremendous power, tremendous. For a big man, you never saw a man move like he moves.
No.
He's fast on his feet. I've watched him dance, would you believe? And he is
You're kidding.
Oh, really?
You really?
But his timing is so great. He's a great dancer because his timing is so great. In other words, he can do a lot of things. You know, some of your greatest football players were great dancers, you know, because that's part of sport, to be agile, quick.
We know one who isn't, though. Did you read in the paper?
Who's that?
Gail Sayers.
Oh,
His
really?
wife said,
Oh, really?
Watching him dance down the sideline, she couldn't believe. He can't dance on
Is
the
that
floor.
right?
Yeah.
Well, this Bruiser, you know, he was a pulling guard with Green Bay, wasn't he?
Right.
And I know he told me many times that the fact that he was so agile, he'd get out of that hole and get over there and knock 2 or 3 guys, go downfield. He wouldn't take one, he'd take 3 or 4 in one play.
Look at this. Look at this.
He does everything well.
Yeah, I guess you have to say
He's
that
vicious.
well.
He's vicious. We know
Look
that.
at Crusher shows he can do it.
But you got to be vicious in this business.
Yeah. You know, you need no referee in this match.
No.
He's done nothing except to count now. That's 3 times. Eskew is down, and here's the count. Four minutes, 48 seconds, 4:48. We'll stay right here, Bob, at ringside, rather than separate these matches with a commercial. We'll stick right here for 60 seconds. Now, I don't know what they're going to do with Eskew. They'll have to get him up on his feet. Johnny Diamond, I think, is mulling over in his own mind right now how fortunate he is. And immediately is
I'll never forget the time I saw Bruiser throw a fellow in Chicago right through a tavern door. Right through the tavern door. And you wouldn't believe. He is so powerful. He's inhuman, that boy.
Yeah. There's 100% peak in athletic ability between these two. I've never seen them higher for anything.
They have great respect for one another. Did you know that, Chuck?
Yes,
They really do.
I do.
I talked, as I said that time, I talked to Crusher for 4 hours negotiating a contract. One thing that stood out in my mind is his great respect for Bruiser as a man, as a talent, as a athlete, and that's one of the things that makes him so great as a team.
5 seconds. 3. There's the bell. We're underway. If Eskew can get back up.
One boy's got a nosebleed. This fellow in a black
Yes, he
outfit.
does. Eskew over the rope. And Bruiser is just going to aggravate
Did you
it,
notice that? Right on that. That's why he's looking at his hand. He wants to see drawing blood. He's drawing more blood. Can you believe that?
He is blood hungry, a bloodlust.
Look at him. He's opening it up. He's the only man in wrestling I know that'll actually go after something like that. He's told me that on occasion. If he sees blood, he'll bring more blood.
The shark of the ring. He sees
Really?
blood and he goes.
Yeah, he will. He'll actually go up in the nose and pull and punch that nose and try to get more blood coming. I don't know what it is. He's really an animal. Crusher's is not as bad, but he's going for the nose.
Yeah. Little popping jab,
Right.
you know, like
just
you
like
see
in boxing.
Right.
I was just going to say that's the same idea. These two play it just exactly the same way. They see blood and they go in there and try to bring more blood. The only difference is they won't stop a wrestling bout for that. They got him bleeding pretty good.
I've seen some bad matches, too, blood matches. Really tough ones.
Wrestling?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I've seen him bleeding. You wouldn't believe it. They had blood.
Worse than in boxing.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen some very bad cut men. Now just look at that. Now people say, is it really blood? Is it really blood? Now look at this. They've seen it. They've opened up his nose. Now he's bleeding very badly, and they keep working on his nose.
Ooh.
Now there, that was right on the nose.
Right on it.
Now, if we had a close-up shot of that, they could see this. That's blood, fans. That's real, honest-to-goodness blood. And that's the way they get it, just like that.
There's a 260 flat on the mat, too. Crusher. Bruiser wants him over the rope. They want to do the same with him they did with Eskew.
Remember, there was just a little trickle from his nose. I saw it.
No.
Now it's coming all over the place.
The tag. Bruiser says one more.
Look at his hand is full of blood. He shows his hand. One more time. The fans can't cringe at this. This is wrestling. The boy knew what he was getting into. He had a chance to back out. We had the standby ready. Eskew's laying over there. Notice Eskew, the doctor's with him across the ring. The doctor's with Eskew. He can't even move. I think he's maybe, I don't know, paralyzed.
That's it. And the handshake at 3 minutes, 51 seconds signifies 2 consecutive falls to Bruiser and Crusher over their opponents. Phil Eskew, Jim Eskew, pardon me. I've got a good friend, Phil Eskew. Jim Eskew and Johnny Diamond. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, more championship wrestling in just a moment. Okay, I don't want to talk about Hammond, Indiana without talking to my 2 good friends who will be meeting Comrade Nick and Comrade Boris on that card. That's Saturday night, May 24th, next Saturday night. Before I run down that main event, let me run the supporting matches. Mitsu Arakawa meets Angelo Paffo. Prince Pullins versus Tokyo Joe, and Sandy Acosta meets Dirty Don. The main event is Wilbur Snyder and Louis Martinez versus comrades Nick and Comrade Boris. Now, let me tell you that Saturday night, June 21st, at the International Amphitheater, is the night for the next wrestling card at the amphitheater in Chicago, and you have a lot of great names potentially to sign on that card. One has signed. One team of great names, and that's the Chain Gang. Eduardo Carpentier has signed on that card, too, but there is no opponent name for him yet, and I do understand that Angelo Paffo has signed to be on that card as well. So that's on the 21st, and we'll have to round-robin that a little bit later on and talk more about that. Wilbur Snyder.
Thank you, Chuck.
Louis Martinez.
Senor Marlowe.
And listen, I tell you, the fans in Hammond, Indiana, and South Chicago should really have a delight in seeing you 2 together in the ring, because I understand that there's been a great deal of call about this, you know. Fans want to see you 2 wrestle together.
Well, if I may say so, Chuck, we got a lot of call about it, too. Louis and I were together one time against this team of Comrade and Boris and Comrade Nick, and we were kind of unhappy with the outcome of this match that we did have. Maybe we would call this a rematch, but we're certainly going in there with, as I say, the outcome of the one before, we were very unhappy about. We felt that we didn't condone the way that the actions and the way that they won this match, and this is a rematch, and we were going to come out of there as a winner this time.
Louis, you, in all your travels, and I know that, of course, Wilbur, I'm not playing down the fact that you haven't traveled, because you have, but Louis, from Mexico, from Tijuana, in your travels up through the nation, have you ever seen really the caliber of tag team talent that is right here in the Midwest, in Chicago and Cleveland?
No, I have not. No, I have not. And speaking about wrestling caliber, I'm very happy and very fortunate to have Wilbur Snyder as my partner. As you know,
you're both very fortunate.
As a matter of fact, though, Wilbur and I teamed up in California too. You know, when he was out there and campaigning down there, and now I'm very glad to have this man here, because this man needs no introduction. The people all know the type of athlete he is, and I think he is one of the greatest. And I'm glad to have him on my side. Now, the people there in Hammond saw the action there. They saw with their own eyes what Wilbur Schneider and I can do, because Schneider and I, we do exactly one thing, and that is teamwork. And a better team partner you couldn't ask. And I'd say this...
well, it's like I say, I think it goes both ways, you know. I'm the only one that can stand out and look objectively at it,
I'd like to say this also, Chuck, myself, that when Louis is praising me here, I can't top it in praise for himself. But as he says, it does take teamwork. And I think that we do have fine teamwork together. Sometimes in these particular type matches, you find people that they are individuals and have individual styles, and it's not just because they want to act that way, but it's the way they wrestle. But I feel that Louis and I put the team together well, and of course, I'm not knocking the Russians either. They've been a team a long time, and they work well as a team. But I think we got better teamwork, and we're going to come out of that ring winners.
All right, Wilbur, thank you very much for the time. Louis,
well,
thank you.
De arriba. Quiero ver todos mis paisanos estén presentes en Hammond, eh?
Very good. Buena suerte. All right. Now, again, very, very quickly, next Saturday night, you see the tag team, Martinez and Snyder versus the Comrades. You also see Mitsu Arakawa versus Angelo Poffo. You see Prince Pullins meet Tokyo Joe. I told you before, don't discount this match. It should be a great one. And I'm not going to say too much about it. You'll be surprised on your own. Sandy Acosta.
Bring the Bashans, the Mad Dogs, the Crusher, the Bruiser, Snyder.
Now listen, we were
all
talking
of them.
about
Bring them all. We don't care what about. We're talking about Chicago. We don't care what their background is. We want them any way they want to come, as many as want to come. We put our trademark in Hammond. We put our trademark in Chicago. We'll do it the same way in Hammond. And we're going to do it, and nobody's going to stop us.
Why do you want to talk about Hammond anyway? Let's talk about Chicago.
You've already signed for the 21st.
Right.
21st card. You've signed for the card.
Yeah,
I
understand you.
I didn't really. I couldn't tell.
Right.
I couldn't tell.
You think I'm
What are you
some
trying
kind
to
of
do?
dummy?
Interrupt us or something?
No, because you stand there and you look right through me.
Hey, I know what I'm talking about. We know we're going to be there, and we're going to take on anybody that we can do, because they ain't going to stop us. Especially the Crusher and the Bruiser.
Bruiser,
the
we don't
nobody.
care anybody.
Because we're the greatest, we're the chain
Nobody
gang,
can touch us. Right, we're the gang, baby.
Nobody beats the gang.
Incomparable, and
Heard of anybody beating the gang?
How much can they play down on the intelligence of the human being, ladies and gentlemen? They stand out here and belittle opponents all the time. And everyone, I have a feeling that they travel sort of in a little world of pseudo-confidence. I think they're constantly beleaguered by fear back here someplace. Well, all right. They have signed for that June 21st card at the International Amphitheater. As I said, Carpentier is also signed, as has Angelo Poffo. But I have no card to announce to you now. I hope very soon to be able to announce a complete card, and when I do, I think it will fit well within the pattern of great and outstanding wrestling extravaganzas in the Chicago area. And I'm going to have to pin Bob Luce down to the fact that maybe sometime very soon the demand may be such that we have to move outside once again. If it does, it may reach another milestone in Chicago's professional wrestling history. All right. That pretty much brings us up to date. Don't forget Saturday night, Hammond, Indiana, the 21st at the International Amphitheater here in Chicago. Until next week on TV, Chuck Marlowe for now, and so long for now.